What's up, guys? This is the host of No Holding Back, Christian Yellow. As you guys know, there hasn't been a Canadian Stanley Cup winner since 1993, that being the Montreal Canadiens. We often wonder why and how long it's going to take for another Canadian team to win the Stanley Cup. And today, I'm going to be analyzing and ranking the Canadian NHL teams from best to worst. So there's going to be 7 teams I'm going to be analyzing and ranking today, and I'm going to be ranking their offense, their defense, and their goalie by letters. So people that are expecting me to give an F to any of these teams will not see that today. The lowest I'm willing to go is a D, because I'm considering the fact that a lot of teams, or some teams, have a lot of things to work on and are rebuilding or are stuck in the middle. So the first team is the Winnipeg Jets, with them being the best team and having the best odds at winning the Stanley Cup. And here's why. Their offense is an A+, with guys like Mark Scheifele, Cal Connor, Blake Wheeler, Patrick Laine, Nikolai Ehlers. Okay, that's your top core. Okay, your top 5 guys. Those guys are able to score, they're able to pass, and they're going to be contributing offensively for the next couple of years, even the decade. Yes, Blake Wheeler is getting old. He is 33 years old. But, with the rest of the guys being so young, you're going to be expecting a lot from those guys. And eventually with, new players coming in from the draft or, through trade. So expect those guys to be really good offensively for the upcoming years. The defense. So the defense would be given a B because Neil Pionk, Josh Morrissey, and Sami Niku are very good defensively and offensively. But the problem is that they are depleted on defense ever since Dustin Byfuglien, Jacob Trouba, and Tyler Myers has left the Winnipeg Jets. You are missing size and defensive reliability as well. So these guys are up and coming, they're young, they still have a lot to prove, but their potential is there, and they have shown it this year with Neil Pionk really stepping up to the plate this year offensively. And, I'm expecting way more from these guys in the future, so do not count them out on defense. Their goalie, Connor Hellebuyck, he's a stellar franchise #1 goalie. So I'm going to be giving him an A+ because he is a Vezina nominee this season, and I think he will be winning it, considering the fact that, so many guys on defense for the Winnipeg Jets have left. And, it's really hard having a depleted defensive core that's still contributing offensively, but not as much defensively. So Connor Hellebuyck has really stepped up to the plate and has helped them win a lot of games. So now for future contributors. So what we do here is that I'm going to be naming future contributors for each team. And now I'm going to start with the Winnipeg Jets. Ville Heinola, Christian Vesalainen, and Dylan Samberg. So Ville Heinola is a left D. He is an offensive defenseman with strong hockey IQ. He has 5 points in 8 NHL games this season with a +3. He is only 19 years old. So offensively, he's going to be helping Winnipeg even more on defense, especially that they have a depleted defensive core. But their defensive core is so young, and I expect so much more from them in the upcoming years. Christian Vesalainen is their best offensive prospect. He's a physical and fast guy for his height of 6'4" and his weight of 207 pounds. He could play on the left and right wing. He is in the AHL currently, but expect a jump from him next season. Dylan Samberg is an NCAA prospect of the Winnipeg Jets. He's a left D. He's 6'4", an NHL ready player next season, and I think he's really going to be able to step up to the plate to play defensively and really, replace the presence of Dustin Byfuglien and Tyler Myers and obviously Jacob Trouba. But you got so many defensive young guns coming up and already on the team, so don't worry about their defense. Now, at number 2, the Vancouver Canucks. People might wonder why I put the Vancouver Canucks over the Toronto Maple Leafs, and it's just because of how young they are and what they've been able to accomplish this season. So you have Brock Besser, Elias Pettersson, Bo Horvat, JT Miller, Jake Virtanen. Their offense is a solid A. You got Brock Besser, who is not afraid to be aggressive and physical when it comes to getting into one-on-one battles, into the boards, and score goals and contribute offensively. Pettersson, generational talent, wasn't drafted in the top 3 in his draft year, but has proved everyone wrong and proved people that he should have been a number 1 overall draft pick. He has won the Calder last season and has been contributing offensively again this season, and he shows no signs of slowing down. Bo Horvat, the captain, helps them offensively. He's had a couple of hat tricks this season, if I'm not mistaken, really playing well on center and helping them out offensively. JT Miller, the golden gem that came from the Tampa Bay Lightning, was not expected to really jump as high in expectations when it came to JT Miller. When he was acquired, at most he would have been a second line player, but has really put elite numbers this season, and he has shown no signs of slowing down. And I think it's not just a fluke, and he's showing them that he's playing good this year just to show them, but I think this will continue for the upcoming years. Jake Virtanen, the weakest when it comes to the list of the top 5 players for their main core. Solid right wing, still very young, still has a lot to prove, but I see the potential in him. He will be able to be a top 6 forward, a consistent top 6 forward in the upcoming years. Now, their defense, a B+. People might say, I'm giving them too much of a high grade when it comes to a B+. But hear me out. Quinn Hughes has been fantastic for them. He's going to win the Calder this season, and he's going to be any franchise defenseman for the years to come, any top 10 or top 5 defenseman in the league. He has really helped them offensively, especially with an aging core on defense with Jordy Ben, Tyler Myers, Alexander Edler. So Alexander Edler still contributes fantastically offensively and defensively, but has been really, really affected by injuries this season. Tyler Myers, a newly acquired defenseman from the Winnipeg Jets, has played well as well defensively and offensively, but as you guys know, they are up there in age, and expect, a couple of draft picks or potential trades in the future really enhancing their defense. So now, future contributors, you have Vasily Podkolzin on the right wing and Niles Höglander. So, the reason why I only have 2 guys on this list for future contributors is because I see these guys as NHL ready players that will contribute, and I don't really see anyone else making the jump anytime soon unless there's obviously a surprise. So Podkolzin is an aggressive, skilled player with strong puck control and a solid hockey IQ, and I could see him playing on the second or third line next season easily. Niles Höglander is a skilled playmaker. Yes, he's very small and agile for his height, but he's very, very solid when it comes to skating, and I think he's going to help them when it comes to playing a more fast-paced type of game of hockey. As you guys know, not all of Vancouver's offensive players are really quick. Now, moving on to the Toronto Maple Leafs. So they slide down to number 3. Some people might have them on number 2, but hear me out. Their offense is obviously an A+, very good offensively. They have Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, John Tavares, William Nylander, and Kasperi Kapanen. Sorry, my bad. So, a lot of people might say, why don't you have Zach Hyman over Kasperi Kapanen? And here's why. Kapanen is 4 years younger. He has so much more to prove. And, the last 2 years, he has really shown that he is able to contribute as a top 6 forward. Now, the problem is with Toronto is that they're a team that has so much going on for them, and that, a lot of people are going to be considering them contenders for years to come, and I'm totally in agreement with that. But the problem is that they always choke against the Boston Bruins, and they've choked in the season to, weaker teams, as you may, call it, or, really, really bad teams. Sometimes when you expect all these big players, there's these superstars, these franchise elite players to contribute offensively, unfortunately, some of them don't even show up sometimes. And you question whether or not if it's coaching, or maybe there's just too many big heads. And when I mean big heads, I mean maybe there's too many heads colliding, and everyone wants to be the best, and that's not what you need in a hockey team. You need players that are in agreement with each other on who's going to lead your team and who you're going to follow, and willing to step aside and just be able to contribute and play your own game. So I think they got to figure that out. So on defense, I gave them a B-. And even though having Morgan Rielly being the franchise defenseman that he is, Jake Muzzin being fantastic defensively, and has a fantastic slap shot when it comes to the power play and helps on the PK. But Tyson Barrie has been a letdown this year. Coming from Colorado in the Nazem Kadri trade, it's his contract year, and he really hasn't proven his worth. So maybe, they re-sign him and he proves to everybody that he's actually still a fantastic offensive defenseman that he once was with the Colorado Avalanche. But that's why they're not really up there when it comes to defense, and they're way too offensive. They need to play a more defensive style of game to help Frederik Andersen, which I rank Frederik Andersen an A- when it comes to goaltending. And here's why. They're for a goalie that has, a very, weak or very offensive defensive, pairings in front of him. You got to give the guy credit. You can't say he's always inconsistent, because look at your defense. They're very offensive. You're not used to playing a defensive style of game. And even you could even blame their offensive players as well, not being able to play defensively and playing too much offense. So I think they really need to work on defense as a whole from a team. But Frederik Andersen has been able to really contribute, and I think he gets too much hate when it comes to letting in goals, and maybe the blame should be put on the defense way more often. So now for future contributors, you have Rasmus Sandin, Timothy Lindgren, and Nicholas Robertson. So Sandin is a left D. He's very good when it comes to hockey IQ, skilled, has poise. He's a puck-moving D, so he's an offensive defenseman and has good skating. So obviously he's going to help when it comes to an offensive defenseman, but obviously, hopefully he can transition to a two-way defender. I'm not even sure if a two-way defender even exists, but he could contribute defensively and help out that defensive core that's been dying for a defensive player, as well as contributing offensively as well. Timothy Lindgren is an offensive defenseman as well, playing on the right D. He's a good skater and puck-moving D, and I think both these prospects should be able to play not only offensively but defensively equally to help this defensive core. Nicholas Robertson is a center. He is a scorer, very sneaky, relentless player who is not afraid to get into the dirty areas. I feel that he would be a fantastic replacement for Nazem Kadri since his departure on the third line. And now, moving on to the Calgary Flames. So, their offense obviously is fantastic. They will be given an A. Johnny Gaudreau on the left wing, Elias Lindholm coming from the Carolina Hurricanes has been fantastic. At center, Matthew Tkachuk has shown a lot of dirty plays, as you may call it, or crazy or deadly plays, towards other NHL players, and maybe you have no respect towards him, but he's still a fantastic player offensively. Sean Monahan, fantastic at center as well. and Michael Backlund. That's your top 5 moving forward. Backlund, obviously, he's up there in age, but as of now, he is part of the top 5. And these guys are able to score, able to be fantastic on the power play, and they're very good defensively as well. So now, moving on to the defense. So the defense is a B+, and here's why. You have Mark Giordano that's able to stand his ground and play defensively and offensively equally and fantastically. TJ Brody, fantastic defenseman as well. Yes, there's been a lot of talks. Maybe they should move him. Maybe they should keep him. I think they should keep him for the time being because he's been able to contribute for this team offensively and defensively. Noah Hannafin, part of the Carolina Hurricanes deal, really hasn't shown his worth completely, but he's still very young. He's in his early 20s and still has so much more to prove. Yes, Dougie Hamilton has been killing it in Carolina ever since getting traded there, but his injury really hurt him this season. But, it's way too early to judge, so that's why they get a B+. Their goalie, David Rittich, he's in his mid-20s. You have Cam Talbot as well. You could, choose whether or not Cam Talbot or David Rittich is the number 1 goalie. But I think David Rittich is the long-term plan. He's been able to play well for them. And considering the fact that they have a very good defensive core, it helps this game as well to be more recognized. And, he has a lot of less pressure on him as well to perform. And that's why I think a B is a solid grade for David Rittich. So now moving to the future contributors, you have Jakob Pelletier, Dimitri Zavgorodny, and Yossi Valkami. So, for the future contributors for the Calgary Flames, Pelletier is a left winger. He is small, he's skilled, he's a fantastic playmaker with solid hockey IQ, and he's fast and he's a hustler. I wouldn't be surprised if they pair him up with Johnny Gaudreau, who is very similar when it comes to height and the playmaking ability and being a fast skater as well. So Valkami is a lefty. He's 6'2". He's a very calm and good defenseman when it comes to puck moving ability, and he has very good vision. So I could see him being a top 4 defenseman, really helping them out and contributing defensively and offensively as well, making the defensive core stronger than it is. Zavgorodny is a left winger. He plays with Lafreniere. A lot of people say that, his game is fantastic because of Lafreniere. And yes, anyone's game would be fantastic with Lafreniere. But he's a well-rounded player who has great hockey IQ. He's solid defensively and offensively. And he was previously a 7th-round pick. So for him to jump up in the rankings and, really prove his worth as making my list as a top 3 future contributor, I think it's fantastic. Yes, he needs another year to develop, but I see him making this team. So now, moving on to number 5, the Montreal Canadiens. So, I tried not to be too biased with them because I am from Montreal, but I tried to be fair as well. So, their offense is a C+, and a lot of people might say, why is it a C+, it should be higher. So, they are lacking a top offensive player, a generational talent, and I think, getting Lafreniere would really help the Montreal Canadiens and boost them up to potentially a B or a B+ on offense. But for the time being, you have Brandon Gallagher, Nick Suzuki, who has been proving himself to be a fantastic rookie so far this year, and he's going to be a fantastic player moving forward. Philip Danault, very good at faceoffs, very good at contributing defensively, and at times offensively as well. Thomas Tatar, the steal of the Pacioretty trade, has been able to contribute fantastically offensively and has been on the first line ever since coming to Montreal. Max Domi, was able to put up 70 plus points last season. Unfortunately, he took a dip this season, but he's still fantastic, and I think Montreal should re-sign him moving forward. On defense, I give them a B, and here's why. You have Shea Weber, Jeff Petrie, Ben Sherratt. These are very huge, meaty guys that know how to play defensively and contribute offensively. That being said, those three guys alone already help Montreal's chances at being a contender, but they're still missing a couple pieces on defense. Their third pairing is still weak. Even though Mete is still very young, you still need more from him. You need more shots, quality shots from him. Even though he's very fast and he has that puck moving ability, there's still more that needs to come from him. And the other guys like Kulak, Folin, and so on, they're interchangeable, they're replaceable, and you have a lot of prospects coming up that are going to be able to replace them or them. So, goalie Carey Price, he is fantastic. He is the best goalie in the world. Problem is that the last couple of years, his defense has been weaker compared to previous seasons, but he's also had some bad games and injuries as well. So instead of giving him an A+, he has dipped a little bit, so I give him an A. Carey Price has collected a lot of trophies over the years, especially in 2015, but he still needs to collect the big trophy, the Stanley Cup. And until then, he still is not comparable to Patrick Roy, who has won multiple Stanley Cups. Now, for the future contributors. Yes, for number 1, I have Jesperi Kotkaniemi. He has increased in size. He is more mature. He has the potential to be an elite centerman. He is solid overall when it comes to taking face-offs, even though he dipped a little bit this past season. He has improved his shot and his skating, and in this Corona Cup this season, or the regular playoffs, whatever you want to consider it, he has been fantastic so far and has contributed on 2 goals. Now, moving on to Alexander Romanov. He has signed with the Montreal Canadiens to a 3-year deal, burning his first year by joining the Canadiens on this playoff run. And he will be able to help Montreal offensively and be the partner that Weber has needed for the last 2 years playing at the left side and really help. He is physical. He is offensively and defensively reliable. He wins one-on-one battles. He's a solid puck-moving defenseman, and he's very calm for his age. He's very mature, and I see a lot of potential for him. Cole Caulfield is a left wing. He is very small. He's a sniper, strong shot, and a power play specialist, which Montreal is dying for. Montreal's power play has been weak over the couple of years, and they really need a guy like Cole Caulfield to help them out. Yes, he has slipped all the way down to 15 in his draft year, but now people are ranking him higher due to his potential and the progress he has made this season. Now, moving on to the Edmonton Oilers, ranked at number 6. People might say, why don't you have the Edmonton Oilers ranked higher than the Montreal Canadiens? And here's why. The Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl effect really has Edmonton's offense at an A. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is their really good secondary line scoring at the left wing, and Kyler Yamamoto has really showed his potential this year at the right wing and has still have a lot to prove in the upcoming years. Then going down, you have Andreas Anastasio, which was acquired this year on the left wing. He still, needs to settle in properly with Edmonton. Will they keep him in the future? I'm not too sure, but he's still pretty young for his age, and I feel that, he can maybe slide into the top 6 eventually, being part of the core, but they still need more second line scoring. You need secondary scoring to help out Connor McDavid and Draisaitl. Hopkins cannot do it himself, and Yamamoto Obviously, he's still young, and he will be able to help on the secondary line scoring. But guys like Anastasio that are still young and just got acquired from Detroit need to really step up their game. But Edmonton need to make sure that their drafting and their potential trades really help them in the future to help out guys like McDavid and Draisaitl. On defense, unfortunately, they slide all the way down to a C plus because Oscar Klefbom, as good as he is this year, it's only one season that he really proved himself, and he's technically by himself if you really look at it. You have Darnell Nurse, who has been fantastic as well, but they still are very young and still have a lot of things to prove. Ethan Bear, a very surprising addition to this year's team on the right D, has really helped them out and contributed offensively and defensively, but they still need pieces to be added. Adam Larson is way too defensive, does not contribute as offensively, and the other guys, still not good enough. They're very fringe defensemen, that could easily be replaceable through the draft, the free agency, or potential trades. Now, for their goalie, they are given a C+. Mikko Koskinen, signed a ludicrous deal, which was good for him, obviously, because he's up there in age. He's in his early 30s. Mike Smith, I see him not really sticking longer than he's supposed to. Very inconsistent. And they're always, shuffling between Koskinen and Mike Smith, who's the number one. And they're both not number one goalies. And they need, an eventual goalie, which they could sign this offseason with Henrik Lundqvist being available and so many more goalies. Now, for their future contributors, they have Evan Bouchard at the righty, Philip Broberg at lefty, and Raphael Lavoie. So, with Evan Bouchard being able to help them on defense on the right side, he's very aggressive. He's a great puck-moving defenseman, good skater, and a defensive reliability, which the Edmonton Oilers are dying to have on their defensive core as soon as possible. I think he's going to be on their team next year. He's going to show so much poise on defense and show how much they've improved on defense. Philip Broberg is a fantastic skater. He has bursts of speed while being very responsible while moving the puck. He's an offensive defenseman, is going to be helping them defensively, and I see Edmonton's defense being really good in the next 2 to 3 years if everything works out and everyone reaches their potential. So now for Raphael Lavoie, he's going to be a third line center, obviously behind Draisaitl and McDavid, who are still very young and obviously franchise players. He has a solid shot. He has elite scoring ability. He's 6'4". He's a physical presence, power play, and 5-on-5 specialist. He's a power forward, but he needs another year to develop, and he's the type of guy that would be fantastic on your third line as a centerman behind Draisaitl and McDavid. So now moving to the last place team, the Ottawa Senators. Obviously, anyone could have predicted this. Their offense is a C. You have Brady Tkachuk, Connor Brown, Anthony Duclair, Colin White, Chris Tierney. So as you know, really, Brady Tkachuk and Colin White are really the future out of this top 5 listing on offense. Their offense is a C because of that. Duclair, on and off player, very inconsistent, moving from team to team, has tried his best to really solidify his spot on the Ottawa Senators, but the problem is that, as much as he had a hot streak, he had a cold streak as well. Colin White, still very young, very good centerman for what he has done this season, and I think he's going to be able to contribute in the future for many years to come. Chris Tierney, very good addition from the San Jose Sharks on the third line as a centerman. I see him sticking around longer and, really solidifying himself on the third line as younger players are able to grow and progress as the years come. Connor Brown was acquired from the Toronto Maple Leafs. showed glimpses of really good things this year. He's one of their top pointers this year, so moving away from Toronto was actually a good move for him. But obviously, with a depleted offense, which they have right now, his production could have been a lot better if he had better players surrounded by him. So moving on to the defense, C minus. Thomas Chabot plays way too many minutes, and even though he's able to play that many minutes, you don't need to risk him getting injured or being exhausted. You cannot rely on one defenseman. You need 6 guys, 3 pairings, equal pairings that are able to contribute. And he's a fantastic guy, and he's the reason why they're at a C minus. Mark Borowiecki, very good defensively, has contributed offensively as well, but technically not supposed to be playing, a top 4 role. Should be relegated to a top 6 role on defense. So, playing on the third pairing basically. Nikita Zaitsev, he's a very physical presence, but there's been a lot of problems with him in the locker room in Toronto, and apparently that has shifted its way to the Ottawa Senators. And hopefully he gets his stuff together, and he's really good on defense when it comes to defensive reliability, but obviously a very weak defensive core. And now moving to the goalie. The goalie is a D. Craig Andersen is really old. They need a new number 1 goalie. Their backup goalie is horrendous as well. And I don't mean to, degrade the Ottawa Senators, but, so many years of suffering, so many years of problems. They need to get better offensively, defensively, and defensively at all positions. And here is what the good thing about the Ottawa Senators is. The future contributors. So, you have 6 potential NHL players that are going to be able to put Ottawa back on the map, starting with Drake Batterson on the right to wing. So, Drake Batterson has a wicked great shot, good skater, fantastic wrist shot for a 6'3" guy. He will be a potential second line right wing. So now going to number 2, Erik Brannstrom. He's going to help the defensive core. Thomas Chabot, relieve him from all those minutes that he's been playing the last 2 seasons. Brannstrom is a smooth skater. Puck moving ability is fantastic. He is 5'10" and has the potential to be a top 4 defenseman. Logan Brown at number 3 for future contributors is a center. He uses his physical presence to his advantage, has a good shot, and is very solid on one-on-one battles, which will help them when it comes to you in the playoffs and in the season, obviously, when it comes to physical presence. At number 4, we have Josh Norris at center. He has a heavy shot with a good release, physical presence, and solid skating. And at number 5, Lassie Thompson at the right D, helping the defense obviously increase and be so much better than it is right now. Thompson has a strong shot. He's a future top pairing, has fantastic hockey IQ. People say he has a booming slap shot that's very dangerous, smooth skater, but he needs a couple more seasons to develop to turn into a potential top pairing defenseman. And at the last position, at number 6, Alex Formenton, left wing. He's an elite skater that blows past any defenseman he's been paired up against. He has good size, but isn't physical. He needs to use his physical ability to his advantage. So that's been my list from best to worst. I hope you guys are in agreement to what my rankings were and the analyzations and the time I took for each team. If you're in agreement or in disagreement, you could comment in the section below. But for now, don't forget to check out my past videos concerning hockey or any types of videos that interest you. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much, guys, for listening. Have a good one.